I know you guys like to pretend around here that I'm in charge, but a lot of things happen around here that have nothing to do with me ever knowing about it. And I saw, as Jonathan Zaslow, Greg Cody's nemesis, comes into the studio looking very much like radio, I saw that out of the shipping container, the framed Greg Cody trade merino column was taken out of the shipping container and placed. Now, you have to understand, this is an heirloom. This is a treasure. This should be something that would be at the center of a church if the church worshipped bad takes. And I'd like to know who made the decision to take something that is a family heirloom and remove it from our walls in here and put it outside. Is anyone accountable on this?
I was surprised to see it too. There was some redecorating, and I must say, I'm a fan of what they did, but I also noticed that the Greg Cody column is missing. Thankfully, if you're just listening to the Shadow Show, you don't have to experience this trauma visually for the moment, but it's coming.
I know who did it. I don't feel comfortable saying because they do a lot of good things around here, and we don't need to shame them, but yes, I know who did it.
And how does the decision get made on this? Zaslow, how did you feel about that column? And you've made fun of Greg Cody a couple of different times to his face.
I don't think I've made fun of him about it. The column is what it is. Like, there's nothing to make fun of. I think it's the greatest column that he's ever written because everybody knows about it. Everybody knows that he tried to trade Marino. There's no column that stood out more to me as a kid than Greg Cody is saying we should trade Dan Marino. So, I mean, I think it's maybe it took it out of there because everybody knows it by heart at this point. It's like you don't need it up there.
This is definitely the article being removed from somewhere over the last 24 hours that I'm most concerned about.
Well, Jeremy, we've got something for you today because I can't believe what I saw last night.
Why? What happened?
We'll get to it in a second. You at the center of things in a way that's amusing.
Because I'm a star?
Because your team stinks.
You notice things have gone downhill since I'm not there anymore, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Zaslow, I thought Zaslow not there anymore.
Two-time champion, haven't done any winning since I left.
Not there anymore covers a lot of ground because Zaslow was a pre- and post-game fixture on the Miami Heat. Then he left, and then they stopped mattering.
I was kicked out.
Now it's Solana. Yeah, not going well for Solana so far.
Tommy Tig's still out there doing it.
He's a lifer.
His hair is so dark.
Lifer.
You got kicked out?
I mean, I didn't get kicked out by the Heat. Like, as far as I know, they love me, or they did love me. I don't know, one or the other.
I mean, they tend to keep the people they love.
That is true.
But not Len.
I may have misread that.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough when mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Since we have Zaslow here as part of getting us ready for how it is we're going to cover the NHL playoffs when the Panthers start kicking ass there, what happened, Tony? Why
NHL playoffs. We had an incredible game last night at the Kaseya Center. Another, feather in my cap for the Cade Cunningham bandwagon. It's an incredible night.
I don't believe that you get feathers in your cap for anything Cade Cunningham does.
A bandwagon?
How's that?
Can you guys give me the history, please, of feathers in caps and why it is that people get feathers in caps? But last night, the Miami Heat lose for the 9th straight time. They are in a particular hellhole that I don't think we've seen around here in 15 years, unless my memory. Well, your history, Zaslow, is good. Is this the worst Heat team we've seen in 15 years?
Yeah. I know a lot of people want to go back to the 2008 team where they only won like 15 games. But here's the thing. You're experiencing that season knowing, or at least believing, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That light being the number 1 overall pick. We have the worst record in the NBA. It ended up being the number 2 overall pick. We know how that went, Michael Beasley. The most wrong I've ever been in my sports life, Michael Beasley. But this team, there's no light at the end of the tunnel because they're not even going to miss the play-in. Now, they may miss the playoffs, but they're still going to be a play-in team, even if they lose the rest of the games this season, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel as far as the lottery goes. So I have found this season to be one of the least enjoyable of my lifetime.
Let's examine for a second around the room most wrong you've been in your sports life. I
yeah.
want all of you to examine this for a second and come up with an answer for me as I play the video from last night where Cade Cunningham, who's becoming a star this season because the Pistons do matter, the Pistons are fun, and beyond that, the way that offense is working in this sport is crazy to me. A Spur that I've not heard of, perhaps you guys can help me with how to pronounce his name. Scored 34 points in less than 20 minutes last night. 7 for 7 on threes, 13 for 14. And even he, after the game, was wandering around the locker room saying, I don't know what bleeping happened out there because he scored so much so fast. And last night, you may not have noticed this, the Pacers scored to win 135-131, 45 points in the fourth quarter. That used to be the average Miami Heat half. And is again, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like it. And
Yeah.
It's the average second half.
It's the
now,
average
for sure.
second half now.
For sure.
Before we get to the game winner, though, that I want to play, I just want to ask Zaz, because I do find this part to be a bit staggering in the last 16 games. We talked an awful lot about Jimmy Butler. We argued a lot about Jimmy Butler. But how many more examples would you like that he didn't have enough help while he was here? Because it's been flooring to me to watch Bam and Tyler Hero do this, be this, because those are 2 all-stars that you have, maybe in name only, but they are all-stars, and the way this team is playing is a far sight from you have 2 all-stars. I can't believe how bad they are. And I'm surprised that taking Jimmy Butler away 16 games proves this.
Well, the part that I have a hard time understanding, not that I disagree with anything you just said, okay, because this team is rotten, by the way. Like, there is something rotten about this team. But Jimmy Butler, it's not like he was playing for them, and then they traded him, and then everything went downhill. He was suspended. They lost him he served at least 9-game suspension. If I'm remembering correctly, they were not this. They were a game over 500. They were 500. They were 2 over 5. Like, they weren't this. And they've essentially been playing without Jimmy Butler the entire season. So there is something rotten surrounding this team right now. Because you're right, they're not this bad.
Zaz, the other thing is, Tyler and Bam both had a good game last night. Like, Bam's kind of been, like, turning a little bit of a
He did nothing
corner.
in the fourth quarter. 0 for 5, 0 points in the fourth quarter.
Agreed. But again, he still had 30. Right, so it's like we don't see that from Bam typically. We see him with the 16, 11, and 7 game where you're like, he left so much on the table. But last night, again, they just completely collapsed in the fourth quarter.
They don't have a guy. Like, we watched the Pistons, and Cade Cunningham is able to go out there
He's a dude.
and do what he wants. We used to have a guy. They don't have a guy anymore who could do that. And Tyler Hero's just not big enough to do that, especially in the fourth quarter when everything tightens up.
But again, the Cade Cunningham shot, you get at the top of the key, he runs over, Bam covering him on the inbounds, by the way. He shoves Bam with a chicken wing, okay? Pushes, Haywood Highsmith out of the way, gets the ball, gets to the top of the key, gets his shot off, bank shot. He didn't call it again, but still.
He says he whispered it.
Says he whispered.
Hold on a second. I just saw something here. Can we watch this again, this replay? I see someone in the background here looking dejected. Hold on.
All
Hit
right,
this again.
So this is a bank. This is great defense by Bam. And there is Jeremy Tache.
His shoulders, he looks in. Oh, what's going to happen? Dejected.
Let's put that picture in picture here in spot shadow, Jeremy Tache, so that you can see what is this is. I'm gonna do this for the audio audience. Okay, so he's got his microphone at the center of his chest, the way Shane Gillis does stand up. Okay, he's got the microphone at the center of his
description,
chest.
honestly. That's exactly right.
And then, as soon as the shot goes in, if you're just watching Jeremy, you're seeing the microphone, his only useful tool, other than the ones that are inside him, of course. And the microphone just drops with a sudden disgust, and it goes to where the hand was when he fist pumped after doing his sideline interview. He is crushed there because that's your best defender. He's defending well. It's still crazy, okay? It's still crazy to me that Bam is the one that you send out there at that size, and that Cunningham's not getting a good shot. He's getting a lucky shot. He made it, but that is good defense, and that's just unfortunate that the Miami Heat lose there.
Was there any part of you, Jeremy, that almost – because me, if I was in your spot, and especially a younger version of me – you're a little bit younger than me, especially a younger version of me. I know people can't tell because we look like we're the same age, but you are younger than me. A younger version of me would have chucked the microphone on the floor.
A present day version of me almost did the same thing. Yeah. I couldn't believe, there was a part of me that didn't want to believe there was a chance the Heat could win the game. And down the stretch, they start losing with
really
about 2 minutes left. It was an unbelievable game. The fourth quarter was electric. It was such a fun game. And I was, hoping that I could get to be a part of fun energy after a close win like that and, be able to fist pump toward an NBA League Pass camera. And instead, I had to experience one of the more deflating moments of my work life, at the very least, if not professional life. I mean, guys, it would have been to break an 8-game losing streak, the longest of Spo's career. I can imagine whoever I would have been able to talk to after the game would have been a really good interview.
But this is about you.
Yeah, of course it was about me.
That's
what I said the other day, too.
I need to explain to people how rare it is for a body under any circumstances to physically sag that way with overt disappointment. Like, you give me all of the times. I've said this before about sports, right? Whatever you'd think is the happiest moment of your life, you weren't jumping up and down when your child was born the way you were jumping up and down wherever it is you were when your best sports moment ended up happening.
So much happier in 2006.
And I'm asking you guys to tell me on what circumstances you would find yourself so visibly dejected. That's an argument with your spouse, right? Like, where are the places where you're so physically dejected that you see his shoulders go from where they were at a man's height of about 5'9" or 5'10", whatever it is that he is, to the height of a man who is now 5'6", or David Sampson's size, because his shoulders sag so much in an arena full of people whose shoulders are sagging that way after several years of feeling like your shoulders are sagging that way.
Last time my shoulders did what Jeremy's did was when Jacoby George had that personal foul penalty as Miami was driving at Syracuse. Oh, we were so close, Jacoby.
How about the third down where that guy from Georgia Tech, wearing number 49 or whatever, ran for like 27 yards, and you were like, no, get him, get him.
Isaiah Horton dropping the slant, that 7-yard slant. It was in your hands.
Please.
Put it on the poll, please. Juju at Le Batard Show. Do you know why anyone was putting feathers in their cap?
So it goes back to military traditions in Europe. Native Americans would do it. Genghis Khan would do it. You would award feathers for acts of valor. Like helmet stickers?
Yeah, it's like the stickers.
Buckeyes.
Okay.
For any act of valor?
For acts of bravery or, just like, hey, man, good job out there on the battlefield.
Kicked ass, dude.
Yeah, here's a feather.
So just to be clear, I just want to be clear. So someone has done something in war. They have killed a person. They've come home, and what we do is then pluck a bird and hand them a single feather as a noble act.
Sometimes, but also sometimes it's a lot more gory than that.
So if you run into a guy who's got like a bunch of feathers, like that guy's not to be trifled with.
For example, that is one of the Native American practices, but there are others.
You don't want to mess with the guy who has a bunch of feathers in his
I've got
cap.
one from Kate, or it's a huge feather, by the way.
I also want to play for the audience the greatest spinning leg kick that I have ever seen in my life. Tony probably knows this. I don't know if the rest of you know this, but someone who has perfect form on the spinning leg kick, which is the deadliest of all the kicks. There's no more power that can be had from a kick than what we're about to show you. But someone who's got exceptional form on the spinning leg kick is Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Do you have to clarify with a kick that it's a leg kick?
Okay,
I know. I
get it.
This
it
is
sounds
the lexicon.
redundant. Yeah, it sounds. A lot of people say ATM machine. That's redundant. A lot of people say NIT tournament. That's redundant.
Pin
and
number.
Spinning leg kick might indeed be redundant.
I know when they specify like spinning back heel kick.
But Tony, I got this right? It's not spinning kick. It's spinning back leg kick.
Yeah, it depends on where you hit with the foot, right? Spinning heel kick is what we saw the other day, where Bobby King Green got knocked out by Mauricio Ruffi, which was an incredible temple hit his heel, it was over. So yeah, spinning leg kick. But Dan, Joe, goo.
My favorite part of this video is how little concern this fighter has for what he's just wrought. He is so.
The splash zone is incredible from this kick. Look at all the moisture that flies off of
Triple
this
H.
young man's face. Yeah, it is exactly Triple H coming out to the ring.
The last time I saw that much sweat get hit off a body was when Kamaru Usman knocked out Jorge Masvidal. We were like, oh, God, that's a lot of water.
That guy died, right?
He did not die, but that is a reasonable assumption for you to make because in the center of the ring, as he gets a foot under the chin that makes him fall to the center of the ring, his sweat goes 10 rows deep into the crowd. It goes straight up. It's a punt. It is the sweat travels the way a punted football would travel.
He lands a kick at the absolute apex of it. And Jeremy, congratulations. I think that's the shortest reign in picture-in-picture.
I was going to say, he fell even harder than my shoulders did.
I have another video that you guys can put picture-in-picture, and it's just, and I think all of us will stop on this. You correct me if I'm wrong. All of us will always stop on the video of somebody falling on a treadmill. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show.
This is your thing. You love these things so much.
Yes, anybody falling on a treadmill.
You
I'm
pass
not alone.
quite the net when it comes to the comedy.
I'm not alone. I am not alone in finding funny and always stopping on the person at the gym who falls on the treadmill.
These are children. Why children in the gym? What's going on These are children.
No, that's how you know it's real.
Even
Some of
funnier.
them are set up. You know it's real because it's kids.
The rules against this. That kid's leg's broken, right? He hit the wall right there. Oh,
Mike says you love these. Who doesn't love these? This is you can't. I know we can't get consensus on anything, but you can't tell me that there are people in the world who don't love videos of people falling on treadmills.
I think I force myself to not like it, honestly. It's like because farts are funny, but if someone goes for a fart joke in a movie, you're almost like, I can't laugh at this. I can't sign off on this, but it's funny.
Zaz, what do you do about the Miami Heat? I'm not even talking about this year, when I suspect that most Heat fans are just lose all of the remaining games except the one against the Warriors.
No, it doesn't even matter. Well, and by the way, speaking of the Warriors, they only have 2 more games until Golden State comes here. If the Heat are on an 11-game losing streak, when Jimmy Butler gets back, that is such an embarrassment.
I'll tell you,
that really embarrasses me.
Winning that game to break an 11-game losing streak would
I'd
be
rather
worth
break the
losing
streak.
every game for the rest of the year.
I don't want the storyline. I'm so embarrassed by it. That's going to be a headline all day long on ESPN television, that Jimmy Butler returns to Miami with the Heat on an 11-game losing streak.
Zaz, we debated last week. You think the Heat do a video for him?
Great question. I think the answer is yes.
Agreed.
And I thought about this yesterday. Very good coincidence that you brought this up, because this was in my head yesterday. I think the crowd will cheer him.
I agree. Yeah. I think you'll hear some boos.
I think enough time has gone by. I think the crowd will cheer him. And because Mike Biamonte is going to do the big intro, which I don't like, by the way, but he's going to do the whole big intro at the start. I think Jimmy's going to get a very good
Can we make a
ovation.
bet here? Because
there's a difference, though. I think we all agree during the starting lineups announcements he'll get that. 100%. But will he then, in the first quarter, get a a video montage. That's
Yes.
the extra stuff.
All right.
Yes.
Well, you and Mike Ryan are on record, and I've seen this move from Mike Ryan before. It's a crafty one, where he puts himself in a position where he gets to win no matter what by trying to be classy about Jimmy Butler and saying, "I'm rooting for him in the event that he does win, so the pain hurts less."
I'm not rooting for him.
No, I know. He says he's rooting for him so that the pain will hurt less if he is hoisting the trophy. But when you guys say that you believe this, I haven't talked to anybody at the Heat, but I do know how angry Pat Riley is. And I'd be surprised if he puts down that anger in the name of optics. I'd be willing to bet the other way that you're not going to get the glory. You might get something, but you're going to get a token something so that it can't be a conversation, oh, the Miami Heat were super small in this instance, but you will not get the biggest grateful thing.
You think it'll just be a picture of him on the Jumbotron, thank you, Jimmy, not even a video?
I don't believe that they're going to get past all their pettiness while possibly in the middle of an 11-game losing streak that they blame him for.
You got to undo everything that is said about your organization, though, in one season, because the culture thing has become a punchline. And another thing that they usually say about this organization is that it's first class. So we're going to choose that opportunity to be petty. It's over. It's done with. His problem was with the front office and ownership and Pat Riley. It wasn't with this community. I know people feel a certain way about Jimmy, and I understand if you're a passionate Heat fan, you don't like the way that went down and you don't like what he did. But it's over. It's done with. You have way more good memories with Jimmy Butler, and you have to give the opportunity to the fans to respond however they may want. But you leave it up to the fans, and you give them that opportunity.
Ignoring it makes us seem like we're so hurt by this.
I didn't say ignore it.
Yeah, they're not going to ignore it.
I didn't say there would be an ignoring.
But just like a
of it.
thank you, like a small thing will make us see like, oh, wow, they're hurt.
Okay, but
Look how hurt they are.
you guys say you have more memories, good memories than bad memories, and that's true. But you also have as the bad memory something unprecedented in the history of the franchise. You have a mess unlike any other, and I don't think two things. I don't think that the Heat will put on some grand display, and I think you guys are giving Miami fans more credit for how it is that they behave when they're angry than I'm willing to give them for when they're angry.
That's fine. I would give them the opportunity. I think you owe it to the fans, even more than you owe it to Jimmy, to let them have that moment and speak for themselves.
I do think they're getting a video. I think you're getting the big introduction at the starting lineup. I think you're getting the video, and then they move on.
I can only be so mad at Jimmy for making it messy. That's what Jimmy does when he wants to get out of town. I'm mostly disappointed at Pat because I think he backed Jimmy into a corner that made it extra messy.
But also, you know that, right? Like, the common fan might not understand that Jimmy always makes a mess when he leaves and then has a really good start in the next place. So
it's a great point.
There's kind of, I would imagine it's probably 60-40 cheers for Jimmy, maybe 75-25. I would think
that's a lot of booze.
I'm telling you,
that'll sound more like booze if it's
in talking to fans around the arena. Like, there was a fan there yesterday wearing a Jimmy Butler Warriors jersey.
Oh man, have a little integrity,
right? And the people, exactly, that was the response from every person I talked to around him in that section.
You are applying logic to something that's emotional. It's not really how rage works. Like, that's not. You're saying that Jeremy's making a good point by taking into account the history, being reasonable, and if you attack this unemotionally, all of you are right. But that's not the nature of fandom, to be unemotional.
Well, but which was worse, LeBron leaving or Jimmy leaving?
LeBron, way worse.
We gave LeBron a really good, welcome when they came back.
When he was able to come back and he actually played. Because remember, he avoided that situation entirely for his first several opportunities to do so. But I guess I have some separation from it because
That's not true. The first time they were able to come, and he beat them. Remember Juwan Howard smiling on the side?
Was that the very first time? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that he was like a DMP for a lot, but okay. You're right. But I've been separated from the emotion of the Miami Heat because of the way that the season's gone down. But the Jimmy thing is totally different than the LeBron thing because Jimmy's at the end of his career, and he may have one last
Which
run
you
in
would
him.
believe would make the response to LeBron even worse. And
Which is why
we gave him a nice response.
I'm just explaining how I feel about it. Not only was I more passionate about the brand itself, but I knew LeBron leaving at that point in his career ripped away several more NBA finals.
So much more devastating.
Yeah,
so much more.
Whereas this is the guy at the end of his career, and he's
This was just
essentially a role
nasty
player.
is what it was.
Yeah.
And when it ends that way, though, and you're looking at it from the perspective of a fan that knows how the league works, knows how basketball works, when you're talking about the common fan that's just like buying tickets to a game and they're saying, oh, Jimmy's coming back into town.
They're dumb.
That sounds interesting.
You're saying they're dumb.
No, I'm saying that not everyone works on a sports radio show. Not everyone works for a sports podcast and has the ability to look at it and say, oh, man, for the rest of his career, he'll be this. They might have just looked at it when LeBron came back into town as, hey, he won 2 championships. We still have D. Wade and Chris Bosh. Things are fine. We're going to be competitive. It's cool. Where that same fan might look at it now and go, hey, Jimmy never actually won officially anything here. We had those great moments, but the way this gets sabotaged and leads to the longest losing streak of Spo's career, it might leave the common fan a little more bitter than those of us with the perspective to look at the long term of both of their careers.
The perspective you're giving the common fan while also saying that, oh, Jimmy's coming to town, we should do it again and just kind of hang out and watch him. Like, it feels like they can't
both
be the same.
Some people will say, oh, Jimmy's coming back to town. He ruined everything. Let's go and boo him. And some people will say, oh, Jimmy's coming back to town. That's going to be an event. Let's go cheer.
I've never
those people exist.
understood either the mentality of the heckler or the booer. It's not something I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it or that it's not right to do it.
You've never got up at a game and went, boo!
David, no, I have not. But David Sampson used to be a heckler before. As a fan, he was an actual heckler. I've never understood, because it's not just boo, okay? Something you're suggesting that to boo is just to get your frustration out. No, it isn't. It's so you can see all around you that people are watching you and your frustration. You're trying to be so loud that you make sure that everyone notices you're disgusted. And the reason that I don't agree with you guys on what he's going to get in terms of a return is because you guys aren't paying attention to how many unhappy people there are in Miami who want attention for their unhappiness. And the state of the Heat right now, no matter what your logic is, the state of the Heat right now is it didn't feel like this the 5 years he was here. It didn't feel like this until he did everything he did at the end. Whether he was right or wrong to do it, what you presently have, which is what feels like a hopeless future right now, right? Because you're like, how are they going to fix this? You could blame it on one of two people, and only one of them is going to have the opportunity, if you give him a video, in order to express your frustration with him. Because it's either him or Pat Riley, and your frustration is just going to be about the 9-game losing streak.
Boy, that's going to be an ugly scene if they're playing a video and it's just raining down boos.
I don't see that.
I don't see it either, but man, that will be an ugly scene.
We keep talking about how the Heat fans are going to react to it. I'm starting to warm up to, I'm more interested to see how Jimmy handles it. Even like, no matter the reaction, like, let's say the fans largely applaud. Is he going to do like a classy wave to the crowd and try to share the love? And yeah, we had great
Well, he's
times
always
together.
said that about he says he's connected to the city and the fans. He's said that throughout.
He's a different guy when he's on the court and he knows the cameras are on him. And I'm genuinely curious, like, is he going to be able to separate the reception from the fans from his feelings about the organization? Does he take an opportunity to show that he doesn't care? Does he just blankly stare, which I think is probably a likely outcome?
I'm mostly interested in they're playing that video, and then they pan to Pat Riley, and he gets up and goes, boo! And he's the only one who's actually booing
Or
the crowd.
there's booze everywhere during it, and they cut to Riley, and he's just got a maniacal smile. He's just like, that's what I really wanted. I knew they'd boo you, so I did the classy thing just to inspire them to boo.
I wanted to ask you guys about our tournament and the tournament that begins today with a plethora of action everywhere.
What are you guys doing?
Well, we have our own tournament of fans going against each other for the right to watch the national championship game that I don't want to watch with them. So,
Well, okay, so I got questions. How do you decide the fans? How's that determined?
Well, we have an assortment of videos, 30 seconds or less. We have seeded them, and we've asked the fans. I need to clarify, by the way. I didn't mean to say I don't want to watch the game with a fan from our show.
Oh, I understood exactly how you
Though
meant it.
I don't want to watch the game with a fan from our show.
It's too
But
bad.
What I was meaning to say is that I simply don't want to have to watch the national championship game.
With a fan.
I don't want to be obligated to do it, and it's been given away as a prize because I'm pretty sure Billy just wants to bother me. It's not watch the game with our show. It's just watch the game with me, which is also less fun for the fan than it would be to watch the game with our entire show.
Is he coming over your house? Like, what's the deal?
He or she, I don't know what the rules are to this.
He or she, come on. Then.
No one has informed me. So far, all the videos we've shown are of men.
No.
What do we have? What do we have to update our tournament? Because the thing I wanted to say about the tournament that I didn't realize until reading it this morning, the 8 1 and 2 seeds, 5 of the coaches are 65 plus. I mean, I just spent time last weekend with Larinaga and Leonard Hamilton on our show where both of them are like, I'm out of here, man. I got to go. This is crazy. What is happening out there? You got Leonard Hamilton's team is boycotting because they want more money. Larinaga, 2 days after he gets to the Final Four, 8 of his players are like, love you, coach, I'm leaving. And so to have 5 of the coaches who are the top seeds and the favorites to win this tournament be 65 plus, let's see if we can name them here. Bruce Pearl, Barnes, Patino, Izzo. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody.
I mean, I can tell you Duke and Florida are not 65. All right. Those are 2 of the 3 that are
Sampson,
under.
Kelvin Sampson is the 5th one. It is a little bit, that's unusual, is it not? I mean, Izzo's got to be 70, right? Izzo, how many consecutive tournaments has Izzo made? Like, this is the
Good coach.
I mean, thank you. I appreciate that.
Good coach.
But I think it's a quarter century of consecutive tournament appearances
70.
for Izzo. Not 70. It's not 70 straight.
No, he's 70 years old. You got
That would have been wild.
Which games are the fans watching with you?
The championship game.
Championship game.
Yeah.
So and how many of these fans? Like how many
Well, one
qualify?
winner. One. The fans will vote on whatever is the best video here. Can we play some of these for Zaslow so he can see what it is that we're doing?
Look at that guy.
You asked if there are any women in this tournament. Our first matchup we're going to preview here is a 1 seed Thomas from Flanagan's versus 16 seed Sarah. Hit it, guys.
Why do I deserve the crown for this year's March Sadness? Well, if I've learned anything watching the show, it's always side with Greg Cody. So I spent a lot of money on Cameo for this endorsement. I hope you like it. Who needs me? It's the manager of the Lobos. Just want to support this guy because he gave me money through Cameo. And I do want to say, in all seriousness, back in my day, we used to take our Alex.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.
Hey Dan, my name is Sarah. My husband is a super fan, and I'm a super fan. We share the same friends. I think you'll appreciate this. This was our
Lebo
wedding,
painting.
and I'll prove it. Hope to see you soon.
Oh, that's cheating.
Lebo painting at her wedding. Wow. That's strong.
Yeah, that's cheating.
That's a 16 seed, so that's going up against Flanagan's guy. We move on now to our 2 versus 15. We have Mark Wife's Emmy.
Try it again.
Mark's wife's Emmy versus 15 seed Logan from Iowa.
Hello. No, it's not Pitbull. My name is Mark Alexson, and I would like to enter the contest. But it's not about what you can do for me, it's what I can do for you. If selected, I will give Stugotz this 1980s starting lineup Mark Gastineau figure. Also, I'll give the crew this Fruitopia. And most importantly, you guys can have my wife's Emmy. I didn't win it, but you guys can have it.
I don't think that is to give.
What up? It's Logan. It's your boy. Reasons why you should pick me for this competition. I am from Des Moines, Iowa, so I fulfilled Dan's need to constantly throw Des Moines, Iowa into a conversation for no reason. I am the winner of the inaugural Iowa PFPI. I can give you a looks like at any time. For example, Mike McDaniel looks like Sid from Toy Story. Looks like he grew up and got his life together. And I got a song about Smetty ready to go.
Do you realize that the way that you did the apostrophes, Chris, that fan was allowing me to have his wife, Emmy?
If you're listening to the podcast, you're pretty certain that guy says we can bang his wife.
You should watch with that guy.
He'll definitely pull up a chair.
Let's play some more of these here to update our tournament and see if Chris Cody has any more trouble with apostrophes.
More reading. Let's go.
Excited about this. And this is our number 3 seed, Cincinnati Lou, versus number 14 seed, Austin. Opening a Miller Lite.
What a sound.
Everyone can tell by the sound.
He's just chugging a Miller Lite.
He's got a Lobo Bowl number 1 shirt. That's vintage.
Is that a pitch clock hat?
Pandering. Chugging a Miller Lite. That's strong. Now let's see what Austin's
That's
got.
all he did?
That's all he needed, Dan.
I mean, come on. How is that a 3 seed?
Oh, wow. Just caught me sipping on a beverage.
That's a lot of stuff that guy's got.
A lot of show swag. There's Pride of a Lion.
I mean, come on.
Signed copy?
It's not as good a bribe.
Stugotz his personal record book.
As the Gastineau bobblehead. It's not as good a bribe.
You get the idea. 64 guys. No. Numero uno. Gracias, miente. Give me a shot.
These are largely video instead of audio, actively alienating our audio audience with our tournament. Go ahead and do the last one.
Final update here. We have number 4 seed David from Toronto, famous show listener, versus 13 seed Will.
All right. This is David from Toronto. I'm working. I want to be watching with you, Dan. You're my idol. I'm plowing a graveyard. And not only that, I don't even have a windshield. It's plastic. If I don't deserve this, nobody does.
Let's see Austin.
Dan, one of the very first times I ever listened to your show, you told Ron McGill that you thought penguins were more closely related to fish than to birds, and yet I kept listening. So, if I'm chosen by the listeners to watch the NCAA Men's National Basketball Championship game with you and to do an in-studio visit, I will require us to do so in penguin costumes because I know you love that.
Great stuff, Austin.
I can't believe you're doing this.
That was Will, not Austin. That's on me.
Excellent work by you as always, Chris. It's why you're in the chair that you're in. I still maintain that the penguin feels to me closer to a fish than a bird just because I don't think of birds spending a lot of time swimming underwater. And so forgive me for that error, but I still put it on the poll. Put it at Le Batard Show. To you, what is a penguin more of, a fish or a bird? I just want to see what comes back. It's
got wings.
So voting for all those matchups and all of our first-round matchups will be for 24 hours. Right now, go to our social media, vote for the matchups, decide who wins, and we will update next week.
Dan, I will say, the body of the penguin, very sleek in nature. Right, so that's why the fish kind of thing, like
no feathers,
in the water,
no feathers. You got no feathers to put in your cap off a penguin.
What are you talking about?
Very
penguin
does
all covered in feathers.
Yeah.
No, is this
feathers?
a thing?
What's
Do
happening?
people confuse penguins with fish? This is not a thing.
I don't think it's a thing. I think I'm the only one who does it.
They have feathers.
I
Very
think of
slick,
them
though.
as sleek. I've never seen a penguin feather away from the penguin.
I have one in my cap.
That's not something that I've seen.
Is an
pluck
otter
it.
a fish?
Yeah, pluck it. You think it's like a killer whale?
I think yes. I think of the penguin as having a.
They're just wet because they go into the water.
Like, more than other birds.
Yeah,
more than
but-
all the other birds.
You ever watch March of the Penguins? I mean, they're in snow. That's also why there's moisture on them.
I learned a lot during March of the Penguins. Yes.
Did you learn that they were birds?
I know that they're birds. I'm saying that before learning that they were birds, I thought of them more as fish.
Can I tell you, speaking of Penguin, a couple weeks ago, I passed by Batman Returns on television. Penguin, Danny DeVito. Movie's horrible. Horrible.
No, it's a great Christmas movie.
Movie is horrible.
Christopher Walken's in it.
I hadn't
Great.
seen it in probably 25 years. Movie is horrible.
I love when the penguin goes to like the holiday party. He's just like,
Ooh, good impression.
Nobody thinks it's weird that he looks like that. Like it's,
I know, it's just like
Yeah, and he runs for mayor.
awful movie. Awful.
In terms of things not holding up, I remember, okay.
I mean, Rudy Giuliani looked the way that he did.
when Jack Nicholson played the Joker it was seen as seminal and groundbreaking. And then you see Heath Ledger or you see Colin Farrell do the Penguin, and you look back at the 90s and how we were doing those things, and none of it holds up.
Yeah.
You seem disgusted.
Well, I was disgusted because it felt like a part of my childhood was taken from me, where the original Batman and Batman Returns I thought were really good movies. And then I passed by this dreck with Danny DeVito, and I just... How did anyone... I immediately went to Rotten Tomatoes to see what the tomato meter was on Batman Returns, because it had to be one of the lowest rated movies ever, and I just didn't know it. And it's got a high score, and I don't get it. The movie is horrible.
I mean, there's still Batman and Robin. I mean, that's pretty...
Yeah, but everybody knows that movie sucks. I feel like people think Batman Returns is good. It's not. That movie is bad.
Really disappointed in this take. I happen to really like that one.
Can you guys just find for me, please, what I associate always with the best and funniest video ever produced by Batman in any form, which is the original Batman television show.
With them running?
No, this is a great one. If you have not seen this.
George Clooney's nipples?
No, I'm going to the original.
Yeah.
I'm going.
It's from the movie. I know where you're
Adam
going.
West Batman?
Yes,
Yeah,
Adam West Batman, and it's the helicopter scene where Batman is hanging from a ladder and is attacked by a shark, and it's the graphics from 1960s. So he's using a shark repellent to get a shark that's off. Like the helicopter is hovering over the ocean. This is groundbreaking for its time, but it's clearly a toy plastic shark. And I want to find that video and simply put it up on the screen, and I just want to watch it together. Even though this also alienates the audio audience, I just want to enjoy this together so that we can howl with laughter the moment that this shark attacks. Tony has not seen this. Please just focus on Tony's face right now so that you can see his reaction to when the 1960s, our friend Adam West, the late Adam West, has a problem with a shark that emerges from the water because the TV graphics and special effects aren't quite up to snuff. Just stay on Tony's face.
He's dropping
lower
down
into the water.
Whoa!
Robin is shook.
It's just attached to him.
I love that Robin had to break it to him. You got a shark on your leg.
You are supposed to punch the nose of a shark, by the way. It's so inflated.
Let's play another clip from Billy Gill and Chris Cody doing Marlins spring training baseball on the radio.
We should get through the Trevor Rogers stuff early, though, because he's probably only going to go 4, right?
Well, last time he went 4. It would be really good if he went maybe 5.
That damn Jordan Walker wasn't fouling off so many pitches, you know?
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. Here's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit for Nolan Gorman, leading off the top of the second inning.
I thought I was coming in hot last inning. Billy really just taking the mantle.
Yeah.
See, all right, so the issue here is Kyle is very rarely around cursing. So I think damn is safe. Billy called some player this damn guy, and you should have seen Kyle was just like trying to do the call. I think we need to dump this back in the studio. Like Kyle was freaking out. I don't think it's a curse word. I think they were safe, but it was just funny to see the fear on Kyle and Billy, because you know Billy, he's a rebel rouser, but he doesn't actually want to offend any. So when he thought, oh my God, I just cursed and they had to dump something, the look on Billy's face was the best part of that.
Imagine if he said stovetop pudding.
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. Here's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit.
That wasn't all Billy did to bring it to a dark place. You got to play this clip. It's a little bit longer, but it's chef's kiss here from Billy.
I have a morbid question for you, Kyle.
Oh, fire away. Now we're talking.
Okay, so you see this man that's walking here. He's walking in with a Cardinals jersey that says "Together." Older gentleman.
Yep, he's got the cream-colored jersey on.
Yeah, so he has a jersey that says "Together." And then presumably, oh yeah, there you go. The person
they've been together since
and
19.
Then and we don't see the second number. Right.
Oh, that's adorable.
Well, yes. Heaven forbid though, one of them passes.
Oh wow.
Do you retire the jersey?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think the question is, do you put it in like a case? Do you frame it? First pitch at Joey Wendell's a called strike.
Maybe you buried it with the person, right?
Boy, we have taken a dark turn. You're right. Yikes. Maybe. The 0-1. Swing and a miss. You can go ask him. That'd be wild.
I mean, he's kind of close. We could just shout down. No, let's not.
No, let's not. You erred on the side of caution there. That's good.
1968. Together since 1968.
Oh, they have a long way to go.
Do they?
0-2, swing and a miss. They've been together 55 years, those two lovebirds.
That's beautiful.
You don't care.
Solid math.
What do you mean I don't
from
care?
Kyle.
I love love.
Kyle, did we pull the calculator out on the computer? Or was
Not
that
my
a print?
phone. It was on my phone.
I must hate you guys so much. Like it's unbelievable that. I was laughing on the way home yesterday because it is a particular kind of funny to speak to somebody who's not nicknamed Iceman and call them Iceman. Like, of all of the nicknames, calling someone Iceman who doesn't go by Iceman is funnier than just getting a nickname wrong.
Like Frank Isola.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous what I did yesterday.
It actually restored my faith in humanity a little bit because I put that 100% on AI. That's what AI said Christopher Bell's nickname was.
That is not just AI. It was also Wikipedia. So we're joined now by Maverick. Ryan Blaney is with us, and I'm very pleased to have one of the most popular drivers around with us as Homestead Miami Speedway is hosting the NASCAR Cup Series this weekend, Sunday, March 23rd. That is FS1, 3 p.m. And I wonder about this because, Zaz, I don't know how your ears are doing in radio. I know that all of a sudden...
My wife says bad.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I'm asking my wife all the time to repeat things, and I've got to imagine just given how loud...
Yep.
Now, he's only 31 years old. Thank you for joining us, Ryan. But I got to imagine that one of the many drawbacks that happen from doing a dangerous thing like this for a living, this has to affect your hearing, how loud all of this is, correct?
What'd you say?
Yeah! That's why he's Maverick! That's why they call you Maverick!
Very good.
Comedy.
Iceman, good job.
Man, you're 0 for 2. I'm actually Iceman, but it's fine. No, thanks for having me, fellas. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, it's loud, man. I mean, I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. I grew up watching my dad race, so I've been around the track forever. And it does. I mean, we do the best we can of like wearing in-ears in the car, stuff like that, to try to just muffle some of it. But it does digress a little bit. You see a lot of drivers that have retired, they are on hearing aids now, but it's just one of the drawbacks, you know.
Did you have a choice in terms of what you were going to be other than a driver? Because anytime I'm around you guys, everyone starts at 8 years old and everyone inherits it from their family.
Yeah, it's always what I wanted to do, just because I grew up around it, and it was what I was most comfortable with, just watching my dad do it. I played other sports as a kid. You know, I love playing basketball. I love baseball. But then I kind of had to come to a realization, like, I'm probably not going to make it. I have my father's genes. I'm probably going to be 5'9" and like 140 pounds, and racing is probably the best route for me. But my dad never like forced me to do it. Like, he was always, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to go to the next step? So it was something that I just wanted to do what my dad did. And I got lucky that I was able to, get the opportunities and make a living off of doing this.
Do you have other places where you're an adrenaline junkie?
I'm gonna be honest with you, like, not really. I don't really have to search for adrenaline too often. People ask all the time, like, oh, is it just an adrenaline boost for racing cars? And like, not really. Like, you're not white knuckling out there all the time. I think it's just what you're used to. But I try to find things that are more like relaxing to me, like going, skiing. I play a lot of golf. Those are relaxing things to me where I can just kind of decompress and just like be out there and not really have to worry about too much. So I don't really search for adrenaline too often.
Do you drive too fast when you're away from the track?
The opposite, complete opposite. I am a very slow driver on the roads. I have nowhere to be quickly. I always tell people like I get paid to drive really fast for my job. And the only thing I get if I go fast on the roads is like a speeding ticket, a fine, or go to jail. So it's like the trade-off is not worth it to me. My wife is actually the speed demon behind the wheel. If she's driving, we're getting to the place we need to go to quickly. And I try not to be a passenger driver, I guess, and tell her what to do. But she's the speed demon on the roads. I don't really get anything for that.
Do you have a number of tickets you've gotten? Like, is there a number that you would assign to how often you have broken the law while driving away from the track?
I mean, everyone gets tickets, right? I mean, everyone does it. I haven't had one in a good amount of years. I'll tell you, my last one I had I was a junior in high school, and my mother put a stop to that right away. The fear of mom got put in me after that speeding ticket because it wasn't a great one. It was a uh-oh moment, and so after that one, I've been very I just think of my mom when I'm driving. Like I can't
give it
I
up.
don't want my mom to yell.
Wasn't a great one. Give me the details. What were you doing? You were going 175 miles an hour.
No, I was going. I mean, it might not be impressive, but to me, it was bad. It was. I was going 80 in a 45.
You crazy person.
It was not. Yeah, crazy. I was a crazy guy.
You're dangerous, Iceman.
I passed the cop. I came over this hill and passed him, and we locked eyes. and immediately I'm like, oh no. So I just pulled over and stopped, and I waited for him to turn around. So I was already stopped by the time he even turned around and turned his lights on.
Do you ever get road rage when you're driving a regular car on regular streets or the highway?
Sometimes I get a little annoyed with drivers on the road, like everybody, people merging, kind of being foolish. I'll tell you what bothers me the most is no turn signals. That really annoys me, especially if you're like stopping in the middle of the road to turn and you don't put your signal on. I'm like, what do you want me to do? That part really kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. What annoys you more, a no turn signal or somebody who has their turn signal on all the time? Because that's the problem we have in South Florida. The problem in South Florida is old people who always have their turn signal on, but we also have the other problem as well. So I just want to know.
We have it all.
Yeah,
it's the worst here.
Yeah, we have it in. Well, have you noticed? I don't know if you've been driving very much around Miami when you're not at Homestead, but it's gotten really bad down here. You're not going to be able to get anyone while you're here, and you should travel by helicopter.
Yeah. I get down there today. I have noticed it's funny. We travel across the country, and each state has its own quirk as far as people driving and kind of what they do. You got like the big cities like New York and stuff like that, where I don't know how people drive in New York in the city. Everyone's just honking at each other. But then you got Miami, like you said, where people just are all over the place. I would say no turn signal bothers me more. If you have your turn signal on, you probably have your music playing too loud and you forgot to turn your turn signal off. I've done that before. But if you're still going and your brake lights aren't on, all right, you're not turning anytime soon. So I don't really worry about you.
It's been a hard luck season for the 12 car this season so far. You've been having good cars and just, well, I guess the sentiment can be expressed best by Cal Shiesty on X when he tweeted out, "Can't wait for Homestead where Blaney will lead the first 266 laps and then get struck by a fucking meteor on the last lap." So I guess, Ryan, are you going to get struck by a fucking meteor on the last lap this week?
I tell you, if that does happen, I can't be upset about it. That's a
hell of a way to go.
That's an amazing scientific thing, right? A meteor coming to get you. That's like, the odds have to be higher than getting struck by lightning on that one. So it's like, all right, well, if it was meant to be, it's meant to be. I guess for our year, it's been like a a super scrappy year so far. Like you said, last couple weeks haven't really gone our way, but I've always related this sport, just because I can relate to it the most, is like a big wave. Like just you're going to be down a little bit, and then you got to learn when you're riding the wave and you're running really well. You have to enjoy that stuff, but like not let it bother you if you're sitting out in the ocean and no waves are coming at you or you're getting crushed by them. It's just part of it, and you just know that you're gonna go race next week, and you can try to do something different. So we haven't really gotten too down about that. I think that gets better as you get older, and just understanding that there's sometimes nothing you can do, and you just got to keep going.
Well, you're the 2023 Cup Series champion and the runner-up last year. So when some turbulence strikes, does doubt make an appearance, or is your confidence so solid that you assign it to other things and it's not your fault?
I think it's situational. Like, I'm not really like I don't ooze confidence. I've just never been that person. And so I try to just, not let doubt get to me. And I always just try to go back if things aren't going our way. Like, our whole team is really great at what they do. All 15 guys that we got in our camp are amazing, and I have all the faith in them. I feel like as a driver, like if you make a mistake, just I try to learn from it right away, and I don't think you try to let doubt creep in your mind, like, oh, I don't know if I can still do this. Like that's not a good way to think. So if those thoughts do kind of creep in, it's like, all right, how do you just get them out of here right away and just try to think positive? And if you do make a mistake, how do you learn from it and move on? That's like the best way that I've tried to learn over my years of doing this for so long.
You mentioned that you're not out there white knuckling it. I suspect that there's not a lot of emotion. I suspect that you're pretty disciplined about how you drive. Can thoughts make an appearance while you're driving about other things, or are you so focused that thoughts about other things can't be allowed because you might hurt yourself?
In moments, sometimes your mind will wander, but those are rare. In like certain spots, like if we're running around like Daytona or something, and you're kind of just saving gas and not really a lot of stuff's going on. You might think about other things a little bit, what you watched on TV, this new song you heard, but that doesn't go on for very long. So it's very rare that happens. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else. Maybe I'm got a little like ADD or something like that I have to like. So sometimes I think about other stuff, but it doesn't happen very often. You're so just engrossed in this, competition that you're doing that you can't really let it wander. So I would say like that's a 1% of the time that'll happen.
The nature of what you do is so competitive and obsessive compulsive. When you actually sleep, do you dream of racing? Like, are there things that make appearances because you have to be obsessed with this?
The only times I dream about racing is like fears. Like one of my biggest fears is sleeping in and missing like the start of the race or missing practice. I've had a couple of those dreams where I wake up in the dream and like cars are on the track and like I've missed practice or the race. Like that's the biggest thing of me being late. But other than that, I don't really ever dream about racing. It's always weird stuff, like normal dreams are. But those are the only racing dreams I have, because I think it's just like a big fear of mine, because I have slept in before and I've been late. That was way back in the day, but I think that's the only thing that ever creeps in.
I don't know how common a dream that is for everybody, but I've found it to be a pretty common dream for people who have an enormous amount of responsibilities and constantly find themselves under a certain kind of stress. We talked yesterday with Christopher Bell about the pressure that surrounds this particular economy. So you love driving, but what about everything else around it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff outside the racetrack that that you have to do, and it's being on a great plane with your partners, and doing all the stuff off the track that I don't think people really realize, of that stuff. Whether it's, a great example like running through a weekend. You'll get there on Thursdays or Fridays. Usually you have like a partner dinner on one of the nights, and then all race day you probably have 3 to 5 like partner appearances, kind of meet and greets, whether it's with customers of that sponsor that you got, people who work for that company. There's a lot of stuff you do right before you get in the car, and then even through the week. I got to go to Raleigh next week to do a photo shoot for Advanced Auto Parts. So you're kind of constantly running around. So that stuff's important, and I think I got a good look at that growing up. Watching my dad have to do all that stuff. So it wasn't just racing; it's how do you also can connect to people that help you out, and kind of honestly put up the money to get you on the racetrack, right? That sponsors your race team. So all that stuff's really important. And I've been really lucky to have great relationships with all my partners over the years. And it's neat because you get to meet awesome people that have the same interest as you. They're race fans and they love the sports. And then they can, ask you questions about kind of the inner workings of it. So it works out. It's just part of the job. And we're pretty fortunate to be able to do that. So I never get to like, oh, I got to go do this for a partner. It's always excited because you're happy to have them with you.
What is the worst part of the life?
The worst part? Wrecking. That sucks.
That's a good answer.
That sucks. Like that's the worst thing ever. Some of them are, hey, I got a pretty good gig, man. Like I'm really lucky to do what I do. It's a privilege to be able to, to drive cars for a living. But that's just part of it, right? Is you're going to get in wrecks, and some of them are going to be worse than others. But that stuff sucks. Whether you kind of get a little hurt or just know that, you're done for the day. So that is by far the worst part of it. That's the only complaint I have about my sport is the wrecks don't feel very good.
I started following NASCAR closely last season, and there have been really some spectacular looking yet really awful wrecks. And knock on wood, every time the driver gets out, gives a signal to the crowd that they're okay. And I'm astonished by that. All the sign set has gone into protection. And then they show the camera inside, and I see the driver's neck get knocked around. I don't know if you ever get desensitized with the wrecks, having the job that you do. It's a part of the job. But does it ever change the feeling when you know you're about to wreck and you close your eyes for a brief moment and you're like, this could be it? Does that ever go away?
I'll tell you, the worst wrecks are the ones that you see coming. A good example, probably the hardest wreck I've had in the last year was right. We're at Daytona. You're riding around there in a big train, and I got hooked in the right rear, and you go right head on into the fence, right, going 200 miles an hour. And that half a second, by the time you get turned, by the time you hit the fence, it feels like an eternity. Because there's nothing you can do about this, and you're just waiting for a big hit. Those are the worst ones by far. Some of them, happen a little bit quicker that you don't really expect it. But if you get to think about it before you actually hit, that's the worst part. But the safety side has gotten, just in the last 20 years, I think has gotten pretty amazing. I mean, there's still things that they need to get better, but the ones that take the longest, and I mean take the longest by like half a second, you realize you're going to wreck. Those ones usually are bad because then you tense up, and everyone's always like, well, if you're going to get in a car wreck, just relax. So that's really easy to say. If you've never been in a car wreck,
it really
before,
is. It's super easy to say. Yes.
You might die. Just relax.
Just relax.
Yeah, just relax. It's fine. You're about to just hit this fence at 70 G's. You're fine. Just relax. And it's like, all right, you've never been a part of this before.
Can you give us the most extreme example of you being a Star Wars dork?
I have Star Wars tattooed on my body. That's probably a pretty extreme. They don't wash off. For those of you who are wondering, they're there for life, so you better be a fan of that thing for your whole life. So I got a couple Darth Vader tattoos. So I grew up. My mom took me to go see Phantom Menace. I think it came out in 01 or 99 when I was like 6 years old, and I was hooked ever since then. So I got to go to the Last Jedi premiere, which I thought was good. Think what you want in the movie, but it was pretty neat being in that atmosphere of like, a Star Wars film coming out, and I get to be the first to see it at very select few. So yeah, I have a huge obsession with the franchise, and it's been a little up and down lately, but I have hope for the future. So we'll see.
You knew better or know better than to try and insert any Star Wars theme into your wedding, correct?
Oh, my wife knows better, and I know better now too, because my wife taught me. All the Star Wars stuff is pretty much taken down in my house. Before her and I got together, I had a shrine, and when she moved in, she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get rid of this. You have to put it somewhere else."
I would imagine that a NASCAR wedding, if you've got Bubba as a groomsman, I would imagine that a NASCAR wedding would be a frolicking, debaucherous affair.
I think any wedding is.
Excellent point,
full of
Ryan.
debauchery. You know, like I don't know what it is about weddings, but people just go nuts. It's like their free pass. If they go to 1 or 3 weddings a year, like it's their free pass to just get absolutely belligerently drunk, and no one judges them. And like it's like, all right, yeah, it's a wedding. You can go do whatever you want. It's fine. But yeah, we got married out in Aspen, my wife and I, and a beautiful place, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we did it right, which was cool. Weddings, though, they go quick though. That was the only bad thing about the wedding, is it was over before you knew it, and then you wake up the next day, you're like, man, we planned this for a year, and now it's over. So let's go home. And but we had a good time.
Put it on the poll, please. Do you think that a NASCAR wedding is more debaucherous than the average wedding at Le Batard Show?
In honor of our guest, the Maverick, Ryan Blaney, I put together a top 5 list that I think it plays well. This is top 5 guys in sports that can rock a cap.
He wears a cap well.
No,
I appreciate that.
You're about to find out.
Well, we don't know
exactly
if
how
he's
well.
on. You don't know if you're on it, Ryan.
We'll
Like,
find out. Yeah. Thank me later.
Okay.
Number 5.
Okay.
Fernando Rodney.
Strong.
Iconic.
The best.
Iconic.
I'll start wearing mine like
Only
that.
5.
Number 4. Kyle Shanahan.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
That is
Back me
strong.
up here.
Flat brim hat for Kyle Shanahan is the go-to.
Your thoughts, Ryan?
I like it. Yeah, I got to meet Shanahan in Sonoma a couple years ago. Cool guy, and yeah, rocking the ball cap.
Number 3. CC Sabathia.
You're just doing it sideways. Like it's not.
I'm not. Kyle Shanahan wears the flat brims. And number 2, Jay-Z.
Strong.
Obviously ranked ahead of CC Sabathia because he can make the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee hand. So, and number 1, race day, Ryan Blaney.
Oh wow! Unreal.
Congratulations.
But
Wow.
it's this is an older photo. Ryan Blaney with the hair flipped out in the back.
Yeah.
That is peak.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
is better than that.
Yeah, long hair, full beard is pretty strong when it gets to November, and I don't shave or cut my hair. It's a good one. But hey, I appreciate that. I feel like it was skewed a little bit, only because I was your guest. I was number 1, but I'm ranked ahead of a lot of great athletes, great coaches. I appreciate that. That really got my morning started off.
Congratulations. The highest honor
believe you.
of your career.
You were the inspiration.
You could watch the number 12 Team Penske Ford car as the NASCAR Cup Series hits Homestead, Miami Speedway. It's this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1. A pleasure, sir. Thank you, and congratulations on all your success.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. Had a lot of fun.
Thank you. I wanted to ask the group a few questions here. And the first one is, I am asking everyone here, including basketball expert Jonathan Zaslow, to pronounce the name of the San Antonio Spur who scored 34 points in fewer than 20 minutes last night, and then during the sideline interview brought out his good friend Flavor Flav to be a part of the shenanigans. Does anyone want to take a shot at this person's name? Sonaro is the first name, correct?
Nope.
Everyone pulled back.
It's not. It's not
Sandro.
Sonaro.
Sandro.
Okay, Sandro is the first name, and the last name is. We've got nothing. We've got
No.
Nobody here can name the Spur who
Wait,
scored.
did you really do that?
I did.
Sonaro is the first name, and then it's actually Sandro.
That's right. I misread my handwriting. That's what just happened
Sandro Mamukalashvili.
That doesn't sound right.
Mamukelashvili.
No, that actually sounds
That
right.
That sounds like I kind of nailed it, actually.
well,
Zazzle, you keep shaking your head. I want you to try. How about that?
I'm afraid of this one.
Don't be afraid. You're okay.
I'm
I'm with you.
Sandro
You're okay.
Mamukelashvili.
No, I can't
Easy.
say it. I don't know his name.
He was 13 for 13 from the field. I'm sorry, 13 for 14 from the field and 7 for 7 from 3.
That's a good game.
in fewer than 20 minutes.
He was awesome.
Spurs are trying to lose games. I don't know if they would say he's awesome.
He was wandering around the locker room saying, I don't know what just bleeping happened. That's got to be a pretty good feeling, right? I can't imagine that there is stuff that feels much better in sports than feeling like you're 6 for 6 for 3 and taking that 7-3 and you just know everything is going to go in. I've only felt anything like that one time in like an intramural basketball game I was playing in college where I just, I was able to make 4 shots in a row.
One of those nights, huh, Dan?
Everyone still talks about it, Dan.
One of those nights.
I can't imagine how good that has to feel to be wandering around after an NBA game saying that you don't know what happened.
I want more details about that pickup game. How old were we? What type of shots are
Put
we
some
talking
respect
about?
on it. It was
Sorry,
not
intramural
pickup.
game.
Intramural. Thank you.
At
Dan.
what
There was
point
refs.
did you know you were in the zone?
Were you wearing a
Did you take
headband?
a heat check?
Yes, I took shots from further and further out. But what I remember about that game is how the shorts I was wearing and how short they were. And I'm pretty sure they were terry cloth because I'm pretty sure they were
dare you.
something like the material.
Scary Terry.
How dare
you?
How dare I wear
dare you?
terry cloth shorts?
To an intramural game? What's wrong with you?
Did you do like the 3 goggles?
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. We were overmatched. We did not have a very good team, and I was the only player on our team. We lost by a lot, so but I was making
You had to put the team on your back.
well
You had the Horace Grant goggles, yeah?
for a stretch. They were coming out to guard me a little deeper than they would. Guard terry cloth shorts over there.
Thick wristbands on both wrists. Knee
No,
braces.
That was when I was younger. My father still hasn't let go of the fact that I was a hot dog as a soccer player when I was young, wearing headbands and wristbands, and he would always say to me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you have to do that?"
That's generally not the aesthetic for that sport in particular.
And terry cloth shorts usually not what you go with in intramural basketball either. Short, but I remember they were short
Well,
too.
you're
It wasn't
fashion
just-
Short is back, by the way. Short is back.
Yeah, but this was the 90s.
Yes, Tony, thank you. I've noticed this. I don't know when this happened, but recently I have noticed that very short ass hanging out of your shorts is back. It's
back in.
Yeah,
Yes.
but also baggy is back. It's a weird time.
Baggy is back in some cases.
Yeah.
Not in sports. In hoops, you cannot wear baggy
No.
shorts and go out there and play unless you're Adam Sandler.
My
That's it.
favorite is when they like show highlights of the 2008 March Madness, and you're like, "What is this?
Ankle
Skinny
shorts.
tops, but like they got like
Tyler
capri
Hansbrough
pants."
is the ultimate example of this. The tightest jersey you've ever seen, and then pants down past his knees.
Blousy. Dan, we have an issue. Look, we've knocked it out the park with both of our NASCAR interviews. They both went so well, Iceman and Maverick. Maverick went so well that we actually once again forgot to play Vroom or Vroom Vroom, which is a game that we've spent a lot of time in pre-production for. So we need to find another NASCAR driver named Goose, preferably, and play Vroom or Vroom Vroom, because these are really good questions.
I'm sorry that that has
You should
happened
be.
the last couple of days. I haven't really been buying in on Vroom or Vroom Vroom.
What is Vroom or Vroom Vroom?
I'm glad that you asked. It's a game that we play with our guest. And Vroom is just like, that's okay.
Vroom is like, meh.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's all right. But Vroom Vroom, I really like
You're
that.
in on that.
I'm
I
good.
think
I'm good at
I
that
love
game.
that.
I'm good at that game.
Do you want to play the game with us, or you only want to play it with NASCAR drivers?
Well, it doesn't make sense with you guys.
Well, are they just racing questions, or are there other questions?
No. They're not questions about racing whatsoever. Wow, that's how you get them. But that's how you get them. But you don't. I mean, it went so well. NASCAR drivers as personality types, by the way, have come a really long way since I was a kid. And it's something that these teams, they look for, because his schedule is insane. With all these events, I mean, when you think about sponsorships in sports, a lot of people think about NASCARs. They have obligations for like every single one of those on race week. They're doing interviews moments before they hop in the car. They're doing interviews while they're racing. It's pretty crazy. And they have to be good at it now. They really value that. You have to essentially be an alien from another universe. You have to be like Verstappen level to not be marketable.
Well, this is something that I have found interesting in a couple of different places when it comes to how do you go about selling your sports, and when you get to the most popular of sports, how do the burdens of fame make athletes or coaches be in a position where they don't want to be doing sales, which is what it is. So obviously in NASCAR and racing, it's the sport most associated with sponsorships, and you have to take care of the sponsors. But one of the reasons over the years that I have always objected to having college coaches on any form, television, radio, anywhere, is just because the whole job is sales. So much of their job is just to be a salesperson, and so they just say anything that fits under the umbrella of sales. And it's not quite what that interview was, where you've got a willing participant who's answering questions honestly, as opposed to going to his sales talking points, which are meant to reach recruits. It's one of the reasons that I hate talking to coaches so much, because I don't want to spend a lot of time in any place that I am talking to salespeople.
Well, it's stock car racing. So they kind of legislate parity within the sport. Some teams have more resources, some teams have charters, and they've been doing this a long time, and some teams are just better when they build out better pit crews. But there's not what I'm trying to get at is there's not a lot that separates these drivers, because all the cars are meant to be kind of equal. You have faster cars, no doubt, but they're meant to be equal. In coaching, what makes a great coach, I imagine, the distance between, hey, can this guy sell our program? Like, you don't care about that so much. Give me the best coach. Give me a tactical advantage. Yeah, give me some guy that can recruit, and maybe his team is good enough that the program can recruit itself. But in NASCAR, you need the total package. You got to be a good driver, absolutely. But you have to knock these media availabilities out of the park, because we're trying to grow the sport. And people forget, like, NASCAR is an immense weekly property. You got 4 million people tuning into a race on average so far this season. That dwarfs the NBA. When it comes to appointment television on the weekends, when there's not NFL football going on, it's this right here, NASCAR. So you have to essentially be a CEO of your team, because you're often representing them in public, and you have to try to win new people over constantly.
Well, so he was a good talker, so they're all good talkers now? All these NASCAR guys are all out there cutting good promos.
My favorite driver, Kyle Larson's probably one of the weaker talkers of the big drivers, and that's because if anybody, Kyle Larson won a dirt track race last night, and now he's headed to Homestead. He's the guy that is like Verstappen level. You have to be an insanely talented driver to overcome deficiencies in marketability. At least from what I've gathered, I am a Johnny-come-lately to the sport, but it is night and day from when I was growing up watching these guys.
Do you think that most people listening to this as sports fans are ever doing any kind of conscious watching of the college basketball coach when they're being interviewed, Bruce Pearl or whatever, and saying, that person's good at sales, that person's job is to be a salesperson?
No. I don't think regular sports fans see it that way. I think they, especially fans of the team, they like seeing their guy on television. They like hearing from their guy, and they love the idea of him going out there and sounding like he knows what he's talking about, like he's personable, like he's affable. I don't think they see it as everything that's coming out of his mouth is a sales pitch.
Well, but it's part of the job. I don't know what you would say it is, but whenever it is that these interviews are taking place, one of the things that's in play is very often, is that person qualified to be face and voice for our team? It's not just coach the players, right? Like, obviously someone like Belichick was aggressively against that, and football coaches don't actually have to do this because their sport is so popular. They don't have to do sales. They have to do media obligations, I suppose, but they don't. There's no importance in them having any charisma, because the point is almost to get away with from the microphones without showing anybody everything. But your sport is so popular that you don't have to do anything in the way of selling it. But college sports, college basketball and college football. Every time you're at a microphone, if you're a coach, you have somewhere embedded in your understanding, you may be talking to a recruit's parents while watching for the first time. And so therefore what it is that you're doing has to be packaged a certain way.
And it's prime example with Dion, right? Like Dion can go in, he knows he's always on camera, he's always doing something with the idea of, I'm going to get the next guy who can change the program that I'm at.
I'm surprised, though, that more of them aren't more charismatic, right? Because when I run through that list of over 65 coaches that are now in the tournament, Bruce Pearl is that, Tom Izzo is that. It's a likability. It's a charisma. It's slap you on the back, hit you on the knee, and make you forget that they're in sales mode because they're presenting as a leader instead of a salesperson.
I feel like the older guys are the ones who are most charismatic in the college basketball game right now, right?
Pitino's good at that. I wouldn't say Rick Barnes is particularly good at that.
I think there's something about the hiring process that it diminishes that aspect of it. It's such an incestuous business, such a networking-based thing. Guys, they have their career arcs. They get taken from one staff to another, and it's just all who you know.
I mean, maybe the older guys are more charismatic because they've been around long enough to know that they have the security, so they could just show
reps
their personality.
Too. It's also reps.
Yeah, but it's just not. They're not often. When you get to the high level of running like a big time program in college basketball, like they offer you the job. You don't necessarily always have to interview for it, so you don't have to peacock, and you just get fortified in your ways.
Are we calling Rick Pitino charismatic?
Absolutely.
I think he has a lot of charisma.
Really? Buddy, have you seen some of the things that he's had people do to him under a table?
I do not see. I do not see what you guys are seeing.
You don't think Pitino's a good interview?
I haven't really listened to a lot of interviews with him, but when I see him at a press conference, I'm not like, oh man, that is a charismatic
when you see him at a
coach.
Press conference, he's saying things like Larry Bird ain't walking through that door.
He's got one of the most famous lines ever.
I'm not saying he might be a decent quote, but just like he doesn't ooze charisma.
No,
he has charisma. He has a lot of charisma.
Riz.
He's got Riz.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
Does he know?
Honestly,
Riz
me
Pitino.
That doesn't really work in terms of the sports debate culture. Let's create a show, Agree to Disagree.
Hey Taylor, welcome to God Bless March Madness. Oh, it's so exciting. It's presented by Priceline. Dreaming about that trip? Book it and go to your happy price with Priceline.
Lucy, what I think happened is they looked into the shipping container, they saw Chris Cody, Mike Ryan, Billy Gill, and Jeremy Tache looking back at them, and was like, anybody else? Can anybody else talk college basketball? Dan doesn't know that I'm doing this, and I want to start off by saying, huge win for Carolina. First off, Joe Lunardi, Seth Davis, Seth Greenberg, John Fanta, John Rothstein, and every West Virginia government official dead to me. Lucy, it's been a brutal couple of days for West Virginia.
Yeah, they're not having a particularly good time. So it started Selection Sunday. I guess you could say it started in the Big 12 tournament, but Selection Sunday, West Virginia is left out in favor of Carolina, or at least that's the team they're kind of focusing on, the one that they were like, we deserve to be here more than Carolina does. So West Virginia is all levels of bad. And despite that, there were probably a lot more serious problems happening in that state. The governor was like, nope, this is not allowed. You have done it. You have waged war with the state of West Virginia. And so he comes out and is like, NCAA, it's coming for you. Good luck. Hope you're ready for it. Then we're going to destroy the selection committee. All of that is happening, and they have all their focus on destroying the NCAA that they have no idea that their head coach is out interviewing for other jobs as they speak. As they are taking down the NCAA, Darian DeVries is at Iowa, is at Indiana, having these conversations. Unfortunately, he picked wrong, chose the wrong choice. Excuse me, and decides to sign with Indiana and leaves. So West Virginia now has waged war with the NCAA. They're coachless. They're not in the NCAA tournament. They're not in the NIT. They declined the invite. So now things are bad. And just like a little cherry on top, the team that they focused on, that they were like, we're better than Carolina. Carolina in the first four beats the literal crap out of San Diego State to the point where I had to turn it off because it felt excessive. I said, I don't want to watch this. Not safe for young viewers. It was such a beatdown.
Yeah, they cut it to 30, and it almost didn't tell the full story of how bad that game actually was. But West Virginia watching from home like everybody else. And I actually have a first-round game I'm most excited to watch. I'm going first game of the tournament, the 8-9 matchup. It is Louisville and Creighton. I can't figure out the disrespect the committee gave to Louisville because in the final AP poll...
I think you're pronouncing it wrong. I think it's
Louisville. You kind of just have to... Yeah. Louisville was an AP top 10 team, the final poll before the tournament. The committee gives them an 8 seed, implying that there's 28 teams better than them. Mike Malley was showing me this conspiracy on Twitter that he thinks people got Louisville and Memphis confused and they switched their seeds because Memphis is a 5 and all the metrics kind of support the opposite. But this Louisville team, really fun. They brought in Pat Kelsey from the College of Charleston. They have the Sun Belt.
He's weird.
Yeah,
I like him.
He's got weird energy, and he brought in the Sun Belt Player of the Year, Terrence Edwards Jr. from that James Madison team that pulled off the 5-12 upset of Wisconsin last year. Speaking of that Wisconsin team, they also brought in Chucky Hepburn from that Wisconsin team, who was a first-team All-ACC, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And Stugotz always tells you when you get to March, it's all about experienced guard play. Louisville. Nobody has more experienced guard play than Louisville. But that Creighton-Louisville game, great way to kick off the tournament with two teams that have a legit case for feeling underseeded. With the women's tournament, what can you tell us about the drama that they had with the unveiling of their bracket?
I don't know if there's ever been a tournament release where so many coaches have been upset about 1 seeds, which I know it's only 2 out of the 4, but that's a high number that it's happened twice. Usually people are pretty pleased to be a 1 seed. So it started with UCLA getting the number 1 overall seed. They only have, 2 losses on the year to USC both times. And then South Carolina got the 2nd overall seed. So Don Saley was super, super upset, saying that South Carolina deserved the number 1 overall seed. I test, she's absolutely right. Correct. What South Carolina did after that UConn loss, which was awful. It was a terrible loss. I haven't seen South Carolina lose like that in a very long time. They've completely turned it around. They are playing like the best team in the country. And then you saw that in the SEC championship where Texas didn't stand a chance. It was all South Carolina the entire time. So Dawn Staley comes out and she's like, we should be the number 1 overall seed. This is messed up. And then she kind of pulled a little bit what Alabama did when they were left out of the playoff and was like, we're not going to schedule tough teams anymore if we're not going to be rewarded for that. Which I was like, okay. And I do agree that South Carolina is the best team in this field. They probably should have been the number 1 overall seed. However, UCLA was the number 1 overall seed. UCLA has a head-to-head win over South Carolina. And when they have a head-to-head win over a team, you're like, oh, girl, I think you're right, but they do have a head-to-head win over you, and it's hard to argue with that. And so I do think it's totally valid. I think they're the best team in the tournament. I think they're going to win the whole thing this year, especially because I think that Dawn Staley definitely believes her team is the best overall team in this field. I think she's doing a little bit of the Kirby Smart thing, Everybody's doubting you. They didn't even think you were the best team in the country. No one believes in you, South Carolina women's basketball. And so now that there's like somewhat of a chip on the shoulder for South Carolina, I think it's pretty much over for everybody else. At the same time, USC, the other one, the one in California, they were like, we don't like our number one seed. I think this one's a little bit more valid, especially because USC leads the series against UCLA 2-1. And the first two times they played, USC was really dominant over UCLA in a way that's made me kind of nervous about UCLA's tournament chances. And so USC got the 4th overall highest seed, which just doesn't really sit right when they have those head-to-head wins over UCLA. I understand that UCLA beat them in the Big Ten championship game, but that game was dominated by USC for a large chunk of it. Like UCLA just came back and kind of had one of those moments. And so what's really upsetting is that USC got UConn as the 2 seed in their region, and nobody, like, every 2 seed is good, but UConn is a particularly good 2 seed. As we talked about just a little bit ago, UConn beat the brakes off South Carolina. Like, this is not your average 2 seed. And so the fans are super upset because it's like Juju Page is a matchup you get in the Final Four, not the Elite Eight. So USC is unhappy about their seeding. The other USC is unhappy about their seeding. Texas and UCLA, pretty quiet. They seem to be pleased with everything.
Someone in my ear just said that Dan found out about this and he wants me out of the studio immediately. So I'll leave with one final stat. In the first 13 NCAA men's basketball tournaments that have featured the first 4, at least one first 4 team has survived until the round of 32 in all but one of those seasons. So if you're looking for that first 4 team that will most likely advance past Thursday and Friday, all bias aside, it's got to be North Carolina.
Don't you have like work to do?
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Les Taylor. Just less.
He killed it.
More.
The show?
He's been right about a lot, and he knows ball. Everyone knows that about Taylor. And this is March, last I checked. Taylor! They told us the SEC was 10 bits better than the ACC. Why do they keep doing this?
Who could have seen Texas, the team that was 8-13 since January 1st, losing? Who could have possibly seen that coming?
Talk your shit, Taylor.
6-12 in the conference. Texas was.
Ooh, give him that stat. No, give him that stat that you gave me.
I have to get my phone out. Dan, stall for me.
I love Mike claiming UNC as
you,
a
Les
win
Taylor.
for Miami, seemingly.
Oh, no, ACC. They do this every year. And sometimes it's Miami carrying them, sometimes it's NC. It's the bad teams that carry them.
You can catch Zaslow on ESPN Radio, and something that I've noticed, I noticed it this morning when I was downstairs, that on ESPN, one of the anchors on ESPN I did not recognize. That happens a lot to me, but looked extraordinarily young to me. And the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is if the highlight show is endangered and if the sports anchor is endangered, because we have sports that we consume through highlights. The casual fan observes through highlights, the NBA chief among them, but observing it on highlights on your phone or through your social media is different than having to go to your television. And I assume, I don't assume, I actually know that throughout the industry, everyone's being asked to take pay cuts because media is shrinking, media is in trouble, and there are fewer jobs in general than there used to be. And as a practice, ESPN makes sure that the 4 letters are the thing that matters the most and that other parts are interchangeable or disposable. I think Scott Van Pelt is so popular that ESPN will continue to pay him, but I also know that if ESPN lost Scott Van Pelt, it wouldn't be some sort of seismic thing just because, in general, the sports anchor is less valuable throughout everywhere in television than he or she has been almost the entirety of my lifetime.
Well, that part is go ahead. I'm sorry, Roy.
Well, I don't think we're losing the highlight show. I mean, SportsCenter is going to expand it out to Disney Plus with Gary Streisky and Randy Scott.
Those are the best two doing it in terms of chemistry with each other right now. I know like Linda Cohn's still doing it, and there are still like
they're the new guys.
They are
they're the
together.
New,
they're amazing.
They're the new big show. You know, instead of Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann, it's Gary Streisky and Randy Scott, and they're fantastic. But I feel like one of the big complaints that fans, that viewers have with ESPN television these days is that they want more SportsCenter. They want more highlight shows, that they miss that part. You know, the same way that, you know, you get older people say MTV, oh, why don't they have videos anymore? I feel like we're in that place with ESPN where they want more SportsCenter. And Scott Van Pelt, by the way, I think you're wrong about that part because that show is pretty damn important. He gets amazing guests after all the big games, be it, you know, if it's college football game or if it's NBA or even if it's, you know, for the next year, Major League Baseball. He gets the great guests on the field, on the court right after the game. That show's pretty popular.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong about the Scott Van Pelt part.
And it fixed a ratings issue with the that time slot SportsCenter. I read a think piece that actually said stop thinking of him as a sports anchor, start thinking of him as a late night talk show host because his ratings kind of command that a little bit. You need to start, well, that is good spin from the agent trying to get
incredible spin.
No, this is my price range. I'm more like Jon Stewart price range than Randy Scott price range, but that you should absolutely think of him as a nighttime host because he's emceeing an evening talk show.
I actually found that stat.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Since 2015 in the NCAA tournament, wins above seed expectation, the ACC, 21.1, the most of any conference. SEC, minus 4.6. Overrated.
Jeremy just whispered to me, is this what it feels like when I talk?
Is it that bad?
You're less nervous.
But you don't have the accompanying visual aid of popping out from under Mike Ryan.
That is endearing.
The Scott Van Pelt thing, just to clarify, okay, because I want to make sure people understand this. I mean it as no indictment as Scott Van Pelt. He's as good as anyone who has ever done that. I'm just saying the construct of what it is these things are, it makes it so that that kind of personality is less important than he or she has ever been. And the movement throughout the industry seems to be that it doesn't matter who the anchors are. You guys are telling me that there's a new big show because Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann changed television, but they were also at the center of bucking up against ESPN on ESPN wanted them to change television, but wanted ESPN to get the credit for changing television, not any individual to have the personal power to be able to do anything that harms those letters if they leave. In fact, I would say that one of the chief forms of leadership at ESPN has been simply to make sure that no one else establishes the precedent of being more important than the other folks on the network. It's
we
important.
Experience that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say that just in general, it's not even a bad thing to do as a business because it's one way to keep costs down. So I like that late show. I like Scott Van Pelt as a personality, but I don't believe that if I suddenly took Scott Van Pelt off of that and did a form of the same show, that the larger entity of ESPN would be harmed any more than it's already harmed by whatever it is that you think the defections or the loss of quality is.
You're getting buy-in from Chris here, but the ratings speak for themselves. Yeah. Like when he took over, he saved that show that was in freefall, and he's built an audience. So I guess in the hypothetical, I would agree with you, but I have real-life examples and data that backs up that he matters.
I think it's on the crawl right now on ESPN. Dan Le Batard says Scott Van Pelt, not important.
Not what I said, not what I would ever say. I would say that if ESPN chooses to make its midnight flagship something that it's pouring all of its resources in, because one of the things you guys just said is, oh, he's got the greatest guest. That has nothing to do with Scott Van Pelt.
Partnerships with leagues.
Like that Scott Van Pelt is being put in a good position to have maximum support and resources and do that better than most people have ever done it.
But the way that he's created moments in these interviews and relationships with the people that he's interviewing makes it so that the people who are being interviewed actually want to participate. Because we've seen, we see it on regional sports broadcasts. We see it during games in between
it's not
quarters.
just, hey, you're
Nobody
about
wants
to be
to
on
talk
with so-and-so. It's
Right.
like, oh, all right, I'm going on with Scott Van Pelt.
It's Scott Van Pelt, and that matters. And I don't know that Stephen A. included, I don't know that there's another personality at ESPN that could be hosting that particular show at that particular time that would be able to have the viewership, comfort with the athletes, and ability to be serious and joke around the way that SVP does. He's a singular talent at that network right now.
Wow, that's something to say there. Even as I admire all of his
Why did
gifts.
they show my fist pump?
He
made a
is,
good point.
like,
You gotta
that's an excellent point because
Oh, it's a good point.
he can be humorous, but like say there was something tragic, God forbid, something tragic happens in sports. ESPN's
I
putting
think he's
call
a
in.
trusted guy now on
They're
television.
bringing in SVP, and he's going to anchor that coverage.
Yeah, I think so.
Got a couple of top 5 lists for you here on college basketball related content. What are you shrugging your shoulders about here?
I'm saying
Tony?
finally, Dan, we got 47 games in the next 2 days. We've talked zero. Zilch.
I thought you wanted mine. I got one too.
We did a Sunday show that was not zero zilch. We did
That was last week,
three
though.
hours on Sunday
I
to
saw,
talk about
man.
the tournament.
I saw.
Is
Breaking
Sunday
it
last
down.
week? Is Sunday night last
No,
week?
Starts the week, right?
It starts the week.
To me, it was last week.
But it is also
But it ends the week.
It's called the 7th day, but I don't know.
No, Sunday is the end of last week.
That's
Sunday
the
is not
beginning
this
of
week.
Well, no, that's how it
it's
feels.
Technically the beginning of a
So
week.
Beginning.
Calendar
Look at the
wise,
calendar.
I mean, you
7th
gotta look
day
at
and
the
all
calendar.
that stuff,
Yeah.
but no, it
was
starts
this
the
Like
week.
biblically, maybe.
New week
Yeah.
start on Sunday.
Put it on the poll, Juju.
Sabbath.
Is Sunday the end of last week or the beginning of this week at Le Batard
Or
Show?
both.
This one's going to be hotly contested,
I
even
don't
though
think
there is
so.
a legitimate right
No,
answer.
no, I think you say the calendar, and I'm saying what's going
last
to
week,
come
Daniel.
back on this poll is that Sunday was last week, that Monday is the beginning of the week, that when your work week starts, that's the beginning of the week. I don't care what the calendar says. Your boss says get to work. Monday's the beginning of the week. Your boss overtakes the calendar and all of time history to say that Monday is the beginning of the
And
week.
God.
That's generally the sentiment during these times. So I don't care what the fact is. I'm going off the gut.
No, I'm polling is what I'm
Well, no,
asking.
I'm going off the boss.
I'm making it a democracy on the internet. That's what I'm asking you, and I'm just asking. That's a good poll question. And wait till you get shocked by
usually
everyone's
how we
going to
like to
say
settle
Monday.
facts.
Everyone's going to get this one wrong, even though you say the fact is this. Everyone's going to go with not the fact. Let's go first to Chris's top 5 list. What is your top 5 list? What is the subject matter?
I am ranking Sports Thursdays. Top 5 Thursdays on the sports calendar.
All right. Any OLIs here, or just
no OLIs.
All right. So are there 5 great sports Thursdays, Zaslow? I don't think that's why there are
I
no
mean,
OLIs. Because
I could think of. I think there's some. I think you can. Yeah.
you think you can come up with 6?
Well, should I give a few right at the top of my head? Or
No, you
wait?
can't ruin his
You'll
list.
undercut my entire
There
list.
are only 5.
ahead.
and I don't know
Slim
how.
pickings already.
I'm not totally sure how he's going to get to 5.
You better not leave any of mine off.
Well, I don't think there are 6. So let's see what his number 5 is.
Number 5 is Thanksgiving. Football, 3 football games.
You got 4 better than that.
I do. Number 4, opening night, NFL, week 1. So it's last few years, it's been Thursday night.
Hall of Fame game?
Number 3, NFL draft, round 1.
So it's all football.
Thursday night.
You got that better than the first game of the NFL
There's
season?
something about the draft. Yeah, because my team's usually not playing. It's like Bills, Chiefs. Like, I like it,
Well,
but the
it's a-
draft, everyone's got hope.
Your team is never playing because it's the defending champion. It's
Right.
kicking off. But, actually not true. They got to play another team than the Culpepper.
It's never the
Steelers
Dolphins,
game.
though.
Yeah.
Number 2, today, March Madness, Thursday. 12:15, Creighton, Louisville.
I think I know number 1.
Yeah, we all do.
Number 1, Masters Thursday.
That's pretty easy what he just did. That was like nothing.
Yeah.
Do you have a 6th one?
No. I probably would have had trouble coming up with 5 because I would not have had the NFL draft there.
Jeremy tried to make the argument for MLB opening day.
Regular.
It falls on a Thursday.
Regular
this week.
opening day.
It's not. No.
It fell on. It's 6 a.m. on a Thursday.
Well, it's
next Thursday.
It's technically next Thursday.
Sandy versus Skeens, Dan.
Oh, next Thursday. Okay, so that not the fake opening day, the real opening day.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tony's top 5 list is just 5 players to watch.
No. Don't do that to it. Don't diminish what we're doing here, okay? The NCAA tournament, everybody on the planet will be watching this. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people on the planet will be watching
I'm
this.
building
Chris?
out a DK lineup. I'm watching this one.
And Tony's top 5 right here is sponsored by Jimmy John's. They're finally here, and they're hot. Try the new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today.
So, Dan, what we're going to be doing is the top 5 guys you need to be watching during this NCAA tournament, right?
Which is different from what I said.
Yes, completely different from what you said. I don't know what you said, but I didn't like it.
Okay, it didn't sound like you liked it. And not everyone is going to be watching the tournament, not even most people. And you say a lot of people are going to be watching. But when it comes to Earth, it's not even a lot of people. But continue.
The gamblers will be watching. That's what's most important. The gamblers will be watching and taking note of, again, these top 5s.
Well, there isn't, like, I saw John Oliver do a piece last week on sports betting, and one of the things that he did was point out, among other things, that people are betting on ping pong and betting on ping pong in Poland. Right now, what we're talking about today in college basketball, there's nothing quite like this when it comes to gambling, which is a whole lot of people gambling on something that they know very little about while doing it, because it's just sports is happening, and on my television, what I'm tuning in for is just action with my money. It's not necessarily that I care about St. Mary's or Virginia Commonwealth or know anything about the participants.
It's the most reckless you could possibly be with money. That's NCAA tournaments and gambling on it, right?
I don't think it's the most reckless you
There's
can be.
a lot of
in
other
life.
things you can do. You're gambling your money on something you know nothing about.
It is often the case. It's not the case for everybody, but in terms of concentrated, I don't think there's anything like these 2 rounds here at the beginning where you're just inundated with action all over the place. It's just what
Olympics were pretty good. That was a rush.
See, now I don't think of that as the gambling event that this is.
It never was until this year, because the coverage is so much better now today than it's ever been, that you can legitimately follow everything. And the Olympics, while you have your niche sports that I would readily admit I know nothing about, it's also like the second best international women's soccer competition, and you get to actually watch all these games, and there's action going on literally all day. That was a sports betting equinox that I hadn't quite experienced, and it's on a par with March Madness.
Do any of you feel some of the dirty that you feel at the NFL Sundays at the end of the day, where you've just been in your house watching something on the couch or in a
Dirty
bar?
because like you're a sloth?
Yeah, just
yeah, that's what the next couple days
too
are gonna
much.
be. Yeah.
That 10 hours.
Well, it's not too much, but
well, if you feel dirty, it's probably because it is too much.
No, it's not, I feel dirty, but it's not too much. Like, the dirt's worth it. I feel gross. I've been sitting on my couch all day. The food, the drinking, but at the end, I may feel like a sloth, but I'm like, this was a great day. I enjoyed the whole day, and you know what? I'm going to do it again when I wake up tomorrow.
I have not been to Vegas on Super Bowl Sunday, so I don't know if there's anything that compares to what is presently going to happen in Vegas as soon as this thing kicks off. But in terms of a sports thing, the 2 things that I have felt that are strongest in Vegas is heavyweight fight, when that mattered and you had a heavyweight champion that people cared about, and what this week is in the sports books, because it's just
and 9 a.m.
insanity.
over there.
Oh, it's insane.
You know how time zones work? It's 9 a.m. there.
I wasn't there for the first round, but I was there for a Sweet 16 once, and that was as electric as I've ever been in terms of,
even though it's just
like
one game at a
sports book.
time by the Sweet 16, right?
It's still like there is so much action. It is a palpable buzz that you feel in the sports book on Sweet 16 day.
OLI, Tony.
By the way, putting this out there, Tony Brackett's maybe live from Vegas for the first day of the tourney next year. Okay, Tony Brackett.
Sure.
Put it out there. All right, cool, perfect. All right, Dan, top 5 guys you need to be watching in the tournament. And again, it's a list of all guards, because guards rule March. That's what we do here with Tony Brackett. So we're going to start in the OLI. 2 OLIs that you need to be watching. Number 1, from the Big Sky, the Grizzlies of Montana, Money Williams. Great name. We want him to be great just based on his name.
That's
right?
not a real name, is it?
His name is Money Williams, Dan. And he had a 30-burger against Tennessee earlier this season, had 36 against Portland State to open up March. Montana lost both games. That's not the point.
Is his name actually Money? It's got to be a nickname. Did his parents named him Money?
You
don't know.
His mama called him Money. I'm going to call him Money.
I'm not sure his mama calls him Money, but okay.
Mike, look that up for me.
I'm building out my DK.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, second OLI. This name you may have heard. Jace Richardson from Michigan State. Lefty guard combo, a little undersized, but the son of Jason Richardson. Good crafty guard, has a nice little shot. Really came on in the second half of the year. Tom Izzo always has the boys ready in March. Jace Richardson, a name you need to be watching.
Is he a Columbus guy?
No.
He has a chance to shoot up draft boards, too, with this March Madness, because he's one of the top prospects, but late in the season, he's really gotten a lot of buzz.
Starting to play a lot more now in the back half of the season. Izzo gave him the reins to the Sparties, and they've been playing really well. All right, starting off, number 5.
I don't think anyone calls them the Sparties.
Sparties?
I think
just Sparty.
I think you're doing that, and my father.
It's a
would
Cuban
do that.
thing, yeah, sorry. Number 5, Con Knuppel. Do you know where Con Knuppel plays?
I like saying that name, Con Knuppel.
Brother, I know ball. Jace Richardson went to Columbus. He was a Columbus guy. Jay Rich's son. He was a Columbus guy.
Oh.
Money Williams' dad is named Money, and one of his sisters is named Monet. There's an apostrophe in there.
Great contribution.
That is good. That's excellent work. I remember I remember somebody at Sports Illustrated. There was a wide receiver named, I think, Marte Jenkins, and he was saying that the difference between Marty and Marte is the difference between a party and a partay.
Is there an apostrophe in there?
Go ahead, Tony.
Con Knuppel, the other white guy at Duke, for those of you not following along in the NCAA. He's a freshman, 5-star guy who's now starting to come into lottery draft boards as a guy who could be maybe a top 10 pick. Very tough inside, got a good shot, but another white guy at Duke. This Duke team is really good, by the way, so watch out for Con Knuppel.
And as we established yesterday, the magic secret sauce of
White
March
guys.
Madness. White guys.
Backdoor
Okay,
cuts.
How many? Okay, but we already did Con Knuppel. Where are we on
No,
this?
I know. I'm just kidding. I
he's
didn't
a
give you
white
the
guy.
example.
He's giving you a paragraph.
Just
on each
highlighting
example.
part of the
Okay,
secret
well,
sauce.
wait a minute. Chris isn't supporting what's happening here because Chris muttered. I don't think this was on the air. I think it was just to be
Rolled
just,
his eyes
Well,
at
he
one
didn't
point.
just roll his eyes. What I heard in my ears is him saying, "Great, a stat on every guy."
We're getting like full box scores on OLIs. I mean,
Excuse me. We got the Money Monet thing. That was a great contribution. That doesn't exist without this incredible top 5.
Number 4, John Tonje. Wisconsin guard, averages almost 20 points a game, scored 25 points or more in 8 games this season, can light it up, scored 41 against Arizona. Good little shot, can create his own Zazzle. I know you like guards that can do that.
I'm big on being able to create your own junk shot.
Enforceable.
Junk shot.
It's
yeah.
super important.
Yeah.
you always have been.
Yeah.
Number 3,
It's one of the things I'm known for.
can you create your own shot?
Not anymore.
I
mean,
did an intramural with those terry
No, I
cloth
know.
shorts.
I know,
You should have seen
I
me.
know.
You should have seen me crossing people over. Old terry cloth.
Number 3, Chaz Lanier. Tennessee guard, transferred from North Florida. 18 points a game. SEC newcomer of the year. Taking the same path as Dalton Connect last year. Small school, got up to Tennessee. Coach Rick Barnes and them boys. All of a sudden, Chaz Lanier, the next evolution of that guard that can light it up. Hopefully Tennessee can make a run. Mike can have the podcast with Coach on, on Gearhead podcast.
Barn and rubber.
That's how North Florida should always be said. North Florida.
One of the reasons that I like Florida in this tournament so much, I think against Auburn, Alabama, and Tennessee, they were 5-1. Like that team, I don't know how you feel about this.
I'm excited.
Zaslow. Because how do you guys feel about this? Because Zaslow, like Udonis Haslem,
That's right.
identifies as a Miami guy.
It's one of the many things we have in common, me and UD.
But has a certain allegiance to Florida when Florida
went to school there.
starts.
No, I thought you went to Santa Fe.
Oh, stop it. What an embarrassment
Feeder
that you would
school.
say that.
Feeder school.
I went to a university. No offense to anyone who went to Santa Fe, but it's a community college, all right? And for someone who went to a university, and I have a degree, all right? I have a degree from the University of Florida in journalism. To say that I went to community college, I'm sorry, you're offending me.
Business decision.
I went to community college.
Okay, good
So
for
did
you.
I.
Good
So
for
did
you.
I.
But I have a degree from a university.
So do I.
All right.
So do I. But you went there for your BA after you went for your AA at Santa Fe.
No, I went to the University of Florida. I started at the University of Central Florida, and then
Hey, go
I
Knights.
transferred, all right, to the University of Florida.
Why would you do that?
Listen. We're getting into my backstory.
Number 2. Speaking of the Florida Gators, Walter Clayton Jr. Incredible guard, can get his own
He's
shot
a
like
pro.
Zaslow
He's
mentioned.
He's going to be a good pro.
He's an incredible shot maker, has a great 3-ball, leading probably one of the best teams in the country. Walter Clayton Jr.
I get very excited about the Gators when their basketball team is good.
Well, I noticed this, and you made it about railing against community colleges.
I didn't bring it up. He did.
Dismissed it, though.
No, but the thing that
And I think you did it to aggravate me.
The thing that you did is that you deflected from me saying that you're a Miami fan, Miami through and through, right up until the Gators are good at something, and then all of a sudden you're orange and blue.
Well, I'm allowed to. It's my school.
But when it comes to football, much like Udonis Haslam, that is just
Canes.
go Canes.
Yes,
all day.
Canes, because that's what's best for business. I do a podcast called Zaslow Show 2.0. No one who's listening to Zaslow Show 2.0, a very, very minute number of the millions of listeners care about the Florida Gators. A lot of them care about the Miami Hurricanes. And I do a podcast in Miami, not Gainesville. So I need the Hurricanes to do well. That's what's best for business.
Again, though, you identify as a Miami person, and to me it feels wrong to identify as a Miami person and then have this undercurrent of traitorous orange and blue.
But you say I identify as if like I'm choosing. No, I am a Miami person. I'm not. It's not a choice. It's not something I identify with. I am a Miami person.
You publicly
I've lived my whole life
as you are Miami first.
Yeah.
And I don't know that these two things are allowed to coexist.
Why not? I'm from Miami. I've lived here my whole life, except when I went to school at the University of
Because
Florida.
Miami people hate University of Florida people. That's how that one works. And so you and Udonis Haslam are the rare few that I point to, and I'm like, those are mixed allegiances.
Just be careful
there.
what you say about us.
I as someone that is a Hurricane fan that didn't go to the school too, I have the utmost respect for people that went to other schools.
Yeah, how about
and
that?
Still, like,
I'm an amazing Miami Hurricanes fan. I went to UF and I still root for the
But
Hurricanes.
what I don't like is that you still like root for UF when convenient.
Yeah, it's my school.
I know plenty of people that went to FSU that are like they don't root for FSU at all in anything in their Canes through and through.
Well, when my school's good, I show out.
Okay, but that's what I'm objecting to. What I'm objecting to is how bandwagon that is.
That's okay.
Number 1, Cam Jones for Marquette. Probably the number 1 bucket getter of the tournament, Cousy Award finalist, left-handed. And you know when you get that left-handed bucket getter, you can get some different angles, finishing at the hoop, getting different angles in the paint. He does everything for Marquette, leads them in points, assists, second in rebounds, and a guy who can get hot at the right time and carry a team, kind of like Kemba Walker did back in the day. Cam Jones for Marquette, Shaka Smart and them boys.
Santa Fe Community College really make me angry, man. It's insulting. That's all I'm saying, man. It's insulting.
I could have sworn you went there.
I'm picturing a player that gets hot at the wrong time. It's like he's at home. He's like, shit. Why'd I get hot here?
Damn.
That guy gets hot at the right time. It's like, oh, we're in a game right now. Perfect.
Swish.
I wanted to ask you guys, I do not watch and have never watched any reality television. I'm going to have a hard time saying to you guys in my entire history or in the history of reality television, I'll be someone who has trouble naming.
Like you never watched The Real World?
Reality shows. No, I never got into any of that stuff. However, I am interested in something that I feel like the grand majority of people are not interested in, at least in part because they find the subject unlikable. The Alec Baldwin reality show on Max, where they're showing you the innards of his life when his wife presents as Hispanic but isn't Hispanic. They have 7 kids and 6 animals, and he's OCD. So about cleanliness and stuff, that's a bit of a nightmare to have 7 kids, 6 animals, and be OCD about cleanliness. But they're also in his life as all of this stuff happens around him where he's killed somebody and is headed to trial because on the set a gun went off and he was holding the gun. I have found, I'm only a couple of episodes in, and I've found it interesting, but I think that a lot of people really don't like Alec Baldwin for reasons ranging from arrogance to politics to behavior with the paparazzi and stuff. Doesn't seem to like being famous at this point, but to me, being in that man's life at that time, like really in his life, is interesting viewing. Where are you guys on this? Because I don't think many people are watching it, and when I've brought it up before, no one's interested in talking about it, and I'm not sure why.
Well, I have zero sympathy for the guy that doesn't enjoy being particularly famous when he's doing this reality show right now. Like, you're going to have to miss me on the I don't like all the fame that's surrounding me. But as someone who doesn't do reality TV, why is this the one that you're picking?
I'm interested in Alec Baldwin. I've been interested in Alec Baldwin. I'll tell you why. I read a long profile on him many years ago when I thought of him as a very accomplished actor and a bit of a movie star. And he was saying in the article, with uncommon vulnerability and self-awareness, I've failed as a movie star.
Yeah, because he's not a leading man, right?
Hank Azaria would say that after Birdcage, what famous people get who have a hit movie or show like Jeremy Piven or whatever is you get 3 chances. They'll give you 3 movies, and Hank Azaria chose Mystery Alaska and Godzilla and something else.
Movie.
And then never got to be like the star principal again. Jeremy Piven got this after Entourage, where he got a couple of chances and then didn't get more chances after that. Alec Baldwin was talking about himself as a failure, and the awareness of it made him someone I'm interested in. I bought his biography, and his wild arrogance is also something I'm interested in. But the rest of you just find him not likable. Aaron Rodgers is running into this. These reports yesterday about Aaron Rodgers is having all sorts of trouble getting any media jobs as a possibility as a fallback to retiring because the executives being quoted are calling him insufferable. Like, there's a likability factor that you kind of need if you want people. This is what Scott Van Pelt has, where you're talking about, I enjoy spending time with this person. They have a personality that is likable.
So you say she's not Hispanic but pretends to be Hispanic?
Yeah, she's got an accent and everything. She speaks Spanish,
She's
but
in
it's
Hispanic
not,
face? Like, I don't get it.
She's not.
Hilaria.
She's not Hispanic.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I mean, it's not something you see every day. It's not very common to have someone speaking in a Spanish accent when they're not Hispanic. Like,